Alright guys, so finally got this thing figured out. Just having some issues with it randomly shutting off, things like that, but we got that figured out. Turns out that the ECU is susceptible to electromagnetic interference, is what I found out. So what was happening is I had my spark plug wire, coil pack, my CDI. They were close to the wiring harness of the ECM here, and I guess when it sparks, that creates electromagnetic interference, and it was shutting the ECU off. So anyway, that took me 20 hours fucking around to figure that out. Finally figured out that's what it actually was causing it, because when I move those close, it shuts off, and when I move them away, it's all good. So anyway, what we got going on now is we're running off the stock inlet again from the fuel tank, from the Ruckus to the fuel pump. I got the return plumbed in here still, and then obviously supply goes to the injector. So what I've got here, this is a valve stem. So the rolling wrench kit kind of copied his idea here. Just a automotive valve stem. So if you undo this, it's kind of hard to do with one hand here. But anyway, so what I'm going to do, this is going to be my fuel return on the tank. So underneath the tank here, down past the seam, I'm going to drill a hole. We're going to put this in, and then I removed the factory O-ring that was on here. I'm going to put some nitrile O-rings. You can use Viton as well, anything that's fuel resistant. So basically, what we're going to be doing, putting that O-ring in there, taking the nut and bolt off, sticking this in the tank with the O-ring from the inside, and then screwing it down on the outside. We're making our own bulkhead for fuel return. And what I did is I drilled this out. I basically just took a drill bit, found the biggest one that fit in here before the threads on the outer part of it, and then I drilled the whole thing out to that size. So that'll be plenty. So that's going to be our fuel return fitting. As far as tuning goes, I don't even have the laptop hooked up right now because this thing is tuned to the point where it's ready for its first ride. Obviously I have to tie everything up, correct all the fuel lines and everything, and plumb that all in properly, tie everything up. I got a whole bunch of wiring to do, a new gauge cluster. I got a wideband in here that I got to freaking wire up and put in the battery box. We've got two O2 sensors welded into the exhaust here. One's a factory O2 sensor for the, not factory, but anyway, it's the O2 sensor for the EFI kit for the computer. That's what it uses to crack. So I've got it tuned so it's sitting around, you know, an adjustment of like 97 to 105%, somewhere in there is where you want it for tuning. You don't want it to correct any more than 10% from your map. So currently I've got it basically bang on. Wideband is just there for me to have a reading on the dash for me to tune it while I'm riding it. But yeah, so that's all wired in. This might be kind of hard to do. The startup is pretty good. Not perfect though. So I'll try and do this with one hand with the throttle and the brake. It's kind of fancy. Yeah, there you go. Idle. The idle's great. No problems. I don't have the computer hooked up, but if it was, you'd see that it was barely adjusting for fuel right now. As you can see, pretty smoke free. Running good. Idle set at around 1900 RPM here. And here. Still a little bit of work to do on the cold stuff. I was working on the revs and the tip-in enrichment earlier, so if I got that's right up to red line. yeah, there you go. She's running. Set up good. Pretty much ready for a first ride. Just gotta do some tuning shit. And then what else showed up today? Really happy with how it's working. And then today we got some NCY stuff. There's some big brakes for the front and then the stock ones for the rear, a little smaller. I got an NCY oversized valve cylinder head for a 61mm setup, so a 171cc kit. And in here, won't take it all apart, but anyway, in here there's a 171cc Tida kit with a forged piston. So that's the goal right now. We're gonna go 171cc. We're gonna do the brake upgrade. I'm still running drum brakes. Everybody says, oh, run disc if you're doing a swap. It's completely and utterly not needed. So the main thing that happens is people run their drum brakes and they seem to think that they're not good because of the way they feel. So when you run drum brakes, you got to make sure they're set up properly. You got to adjust them. Make sure you got a little bit of free play, but not too much. And it's a cable setup. It's not going to feel like hydraulic. You got to pull on the things pretty hard to stop hard. That's just the way it works. It's a mechanical brakes. It's like you're not having power brakes at all, right? So anyway, drum brakes work really good for this. You can stop pretty freaking hard even with the stock setup pads for the front and rear. I'm just running the, I think it's FLP or whatever their name is, conversion hub for the front. And then I'm also running a drum hub in the back. But yeah, they work great. I've had no issues with them. The back, the first drum I got was a little bit kind of like a pulsation I was getting out of it. Anyway, they refunded me and sent me a new one and all that, or exchange or whatever you want to say it. And since then it's been working good. So yeah, that's pretty much what's going on with this. I got a boost gauge already, glow shift, that's going to go in eventually, probably not till the spring. And then what you have here is my girlfriend bought me this for Christmas. Is a Koso. It's a DB01R end. It's just a gauge cluster, so it's going to go right up here instead of this factory gauge. So that Koso, it's got RPM, speed, fuel level, it's got the signal inputs, it's got essentially everything, tachometer. So I'm going to get rid of this, and then I can get rid of both of my lights down here and I can put switches there. But yeah, basically that's going to be everything. And then I'm upgrading to a fuel sending unit instead of just the level sensor that comes stock, so I can actually see what level I have instead of just a fuel light coming on. But yeah, the gauge does all of that in one, so I can get rid of all that extra junk in there. And yeah, should be pretty clean. Clean up the wiring a little bit there. Yeah, that's where we're at there. She's running good, basically ready for first test drive after I tie everything up here. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you later.